everyone. Today we will consider the topic features of crystal morphology of natural minerals. Virtually all crystalline forms of minerals studied in the thin sections and specimens are also found in polished sections. Mineral with high hardness characterized by a significant crystallization force tend to develop well-formed crystals. Crystals' shapes are called idiomorphic and are typical for the following minerals: pyrite, arsenopyrite, magnetite, hematite, and etc. Minerals with incompletely developed crystal phase are called hypidiomorphic. Some minerals are characterized by ahedral forms: chalcopyrite, bornite, tetrahedrite. The configurations of such minerals, allotriomorphic or xenomorphic, depends on the shape of the space to be filled. Now I want to show you a few samples of morphological features of ore minerals. On this slide you can see polished section of polymetallic ore. Cubic form, a light yellow color, has panidiomorphic pyrite. And other minerals, galena, it's metallic gray minerals, sphalerite gray and chalcopyrite. Dark example on the left side, octaedral mineral is magnetite, light grayish blue crystal. On the right side, allotriomorphic pyrite, chalcopyrite and pyritine. As you know, pyrite is light yellow, chalcopyrite is dark yellow, and pyritine is light. Polished surface of the polished section allows you to create a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional object. The shape of a crystal cross-section depends on the random position in which the crystal has cut by the gradient surface. As a result, for example, different cross-section of a cube in an unsleeve can have the shape of square, rectangle or triangle. The true crystal shape of a mineral determined by several cross-sections of the crystal under study. As you can see on these two pictures, yellow pyrite is nature has cubic crystal form, but in the polished section it has triangular and square. Mineralogical terms used to characterize the habitus of crystals in mineralogical studies can be used in ore microscopy. The habitus of crystal can be used in the diagnostic of vein minerals, which are usually associated with metallic. This slide has example of minerals have almost right form for them. Its needle grains for hematite, light blue mineral, octaedral gray magnetite and cubic pyrite. Total gray containing material is quartz. This is example of pure iron ore, and you clearly can see metacrystal of magnetite and idiomorphic needle-like grains of mica. This slide contains a great example of calomorphic zonal aggregates for goethite and heterogoethite in iron ore weathering zone. Close intergrowth with non-metallic minerals. Now we will talk about mineral grains, crystallization capacity and growth force. Linear crystallization grain is mineral formations that have formed during crystallization from solutions or melts. Metagrain is a mineral formation that has formed during the process of metasomatism. Colloidal formations are mineral formations that form during the coagulations of colloidal solutions. Blastograin is a mineral formation that forms during the recrystallization of grains and the recrystallization of colloids. The form of mineral secretions formed during the crystallization of melts or solutions depends on the crystallization capacity of the substance, the linear rate and force of crystallization growth of minerals. The onset of crystallization is the moment of the state of a melt or solution when crystallization centers appear in it. The crystallization capacity is the property of substance to form the certain numbers of crystallization centers per unit time. The higher the crystallization capacity of a substance, the aggregates it's formed. The crystallization rates is the linear rate of crystal growth per unit time. Crystallization rate. Crystals of usual shape at uniform size are formed, like crystals of pyrite on the left side. If the crystal growth rate is the same in all directions, isometric crystal grains are formed, like example of pure iron ore on the right side. If the crystal growth rate is vectoral, needle lameral grains are formed. If the replacement minerals take on its characteristic crystallological shape, it's called a metacrystal. And bright example for this case is pyrite metacrystals with magnetite inclusions and elongated hematite crystals. The process of formation of mineral growth during recrystallization occurs in the solid state, so the newly formed grains are called blastograins. Depending on the states of crystallization growth of minerals, blastograins have hypidiamorphic and allotriamorphic outlines. A characteristic features of blastograins in a mineral aggregate formed as a result of recrystallization of substance is smooth and irregular boundaries without site of corrosion. The form of mineral formations of colloidal origin is characterized by dispersed particle size. A characteristic feature of such formations is their hidden crystalline structure. Example for this mineral formation is familiar to eucalomorphical zonal aggregates of goethite and hydrogoethite in iron ore, and colloidal formations of pyrolusite and psilocybin. The cleavage and joining of the minerals in polished section is weakly expressed, unlike its transparent grids. Cleavage is observed in the form of one or more systems of parallel cracks. The number of system cracks depends on the number of planes cleavage or joining of the mineral, on the orientation of the polished surface. The minerals have 3 or more directions of cleavage than rows of triangular depression. Means of growth in ore minerals can be simple or complex, and the observed crystal may be exhibit twinning according to the one or more laws. Simple twins in the form of stars and swallow trails are characteristic of sphalerite. Polysynthetic trains are characteristic of molybdenite, ammonite, and specularite. In ore minerals, both gross twinning and mechanical twinning are observed. It is not always possible to distinguish between these types of twinning in mineralogical studies. On the right side, you can observe polysynthetic twins of molybdenite. On the left side, you can see polysynthetic twins of ammonite. When you study minerals in polished section, zonation is an important diagnostic feature. Some minerals show growth zonation, which appears in crystals in the form of concentric layers structures, indicating the sequential accumulation of layers around the core. The reasons for the formation of inclusions and accretion refer to the details of their shapes and relative position of mineral grains, which are often only detectable under microscopic examination. The inclusions can be located individually or in groups, have both regular and irregular or fairly large in size or be extremely small, like grains of gold in crystal, offers an apparite on the right side in the polished section. Inclusions can be eventually or uneventually distributed in the host crystal. The characterization of inclusions depends on the way inclusions are formed and the host mineral. Inclusions may be micrograins of minerals accidentally trapped during the growth of the host mineral, and their distribution may contribute to the manifestation of zonation of the host mineral growth. Often, inclusions are remains of pre-existing minerals that were later replaced by the host mineral. Great example for inclusions, like I said, it's grain of gold in crystal offers an apparite, and inclusion of magnetite and pyrite on that slide. On account of accretion section, you can see accretions of pyrite and hematite. Thank you for your attention.